What if losing Kidal was never a mistake? What if the Malian army and the African corps pulling back from that city was exactly what they wanted the enemy to think? What if the Malians, the militants who flooded into Kidal, celebrating and posting on social media, walked right into a giant trap? This is the big plan unfolding right now. Let us break it down, because what is happening in northern Mali is not just a standard battle. It is a high-stakes chess match. Someone in Bamako just made a move that completely blindsided the enemy. By the end of this video, you will see exactly why the Malian government is flatly refusing to give these armed groups a humanitarian corridor to exit Kidal. It is not just out of cruelty. It is a sharp, deliberate military strategy. Before we get into how this trap works, I need a quick favor from you. If you want the real, direct facts in global politics that the mainstream media completely ignores, click that subscribe button and hit the notification bell right now. Look, a massive 92% of you watching right now are regular viewers but have not subscribed yet. It is completely free, takes 1 second and means the world to our team here in Global Observer. Now, let us get to the story proper. To understand this strategy, we have to look closely at the massive escalation that just happened on April 25th. Two major armed groups, the Azad Liberation Front and the Al-Qaeda-linked group, they launched a coordinated blitz across 5 different cities. They hit Bamako, Gao, Sevare, and Kidal all at the same time. In Kidal, the Malian army and their partners, Royal African Corps, took heavy fire. Then, very publicly, they packed up and withdrew. The militants were absolutely wild with joy. They floated into Kidal, fired guns into the air, and filmed victory videos for the internet. Foreign news outlets immediately called it a total disaster for the Malian government. But, dear viewer, the militants forgot a basic rule of war. Never celebrate until you know exactly where the trap is hidden. Imagine it this way. Chasing small groups of fighters across thousands of miles of empty, burning desert is nearly impossible. It is impossible. It is like trying to find a needle in a haystack while the haystack is on fire. Many years, the military has been fighting ghouls who use hit and run tactics and then melt back into the dunes. But the moment those fighters choose to gather inside a single city with fixed walls, limited gates, and predictable roads, the whole game changed. They thought they had captured a prize, but they actually walked right into a giant concrete cage. Flip it a little. Now that the militants are lumped together inside the city, the Malian military has completely shut the door. The army immediately launched heavy precision airstrikes on the town, targeting the militants with entire weapon storage tight and full surprise. The military confirmed that multiple high-level assets were neutralized and their vehicles were destroyed. And right now, independent tracking groups describe Kidal as completely surrounded. Malian forces are pushing hard from the south, while airstrikes keep hitting from the east and the west. Even the northern exit route towards the Algerian border is tightly closed because the massive diplomatic fight between Bamako and Algiers over recent airspace issues. The fighters came in to celebrate, and now they have no way out. They are trapped. Naturally, the international community is starting to panic. Foreign groups are already asking, why not let them leave? Why not open a safe humanitarian corridor so they can march out peacefully? On paper, that sounds very nice and gentle. Does it not? But there is a massive historical reason why Mali is saying absolutely not are new to that idea. That reason has a name, Aleppo. Let us look back at what happened in Syria in 2016 to see exactly why Mali refuses to play this game. Back then, the Syrian army and Russian forces completely surrounded the massive rebel stronghold in the city of Aleppo. After months of brutal urban fighting, international diplomats stepped in and made a deal. The armed rebels, including Al-Qaeda groups, were given a safe humanitarian corridor out of the city. They were put on green government buses, protected by international observers, and driven safely to a province called Adli. The world media cheered and called it a peaceful success. But look at what happened next. Those exact same fighters spent the next several years in Idlib rebuilding their battalions, buying new weapons, and training new recruits. Fast forward to December 2024, and those same groups launched a sudden massive attack that rolled across the entire country in just 11 days, completely toppling the Syrian government. A humanitarian corridor for active combatants is never a step forward or a step toward peace. It is a giant military reset button. It is a free pass that gives a defeated army the time it needs to heal, realm, and even come back to attack you again. A safe corridor out of Kidal will just mean these same fighters show up to attack another town next year. The Malian military position is simple. We spent years chasing you through the desert. You finally gathered in one spot because you thought we were weak. And now that you're here, we are going to finish the job. How does that sound, dear viewer? If we look at the bigger picture that is happening in Kidal, it is about more than just one city. It is a huge test of brand new political alliance. Three neighboring countries, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, formed the Alliance of the Sahel States, the AES. I know you know that story. They kicked out French troops, ended the UN peacekeeping missions, brought in Russian African Corps support, and they told the world, we will handle our security without Western help. For the last 2 years, Western experts laughed and said these military governments would fall apart instantly without European guidance. This massive April 25th attack was the biggest test they have ever faced. The offensive even led to the tragic assassination of Mali's Defense Minister Sadio Kamara in a bold raid on his home. It was meant to break the state spirit. But look at how the alliance reacted within hours. Niger and Burkina Faso sent their own fighter jets into Mali to hit the attackers. A combined regional force of 15,000 soldiers was exactly and instantly mobilized. This is massive proof that their new alliance actually works. When the old regional bloc ECOWAS slapped heavy economic sanctions on these countries to isolate them, the AES did not back down. They built their own independent military system instead. The big question used to be whether the AES could survive a massive attack. They just answered that with a clear yes. The new question is whether they can completely wipe out the threat, and their headline stands in Kidal. And is it sending a loud message across the entire continent? The uncompromising stance taken in Kidal is causing a massive reaction far beyond Mali. Leaders in neighboring countries are watching closely. Even coastal nations like Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Benin, and Togo, they are quite worried. Their governments are asking themselves a very serious question. If these extremist groups cannot be stopped in the desert, how long before they march south into our territories? It's a heavy question for every head of state in that position. This is not a theoretical fear anymore. Just a couple of months ago, in March 2026, large-scale jihadist attacks hit military outposts in northern Benin, destroying bases and capturing heavy weapons. The threat is expanding rapidly. Security experts warn that if the terrorists are not decisively beaten right now in the Sahel, they will show up on the doorsteps of West Africa's coastal capitals. Kidal is the exact place where the line in the sand is being drawn. But because we focus on real analysis on this channel, we have to look at the massive risks involved here. Kidal is still full of innocent regular citizens who are trapped inside this siege. International aid groups are deeply worried because it is incredibly difficult to separate active fighters from regular families in a tight city environment. Historically, when regular citizens get harmed in military strikes, it becomes the #1 recruitment tool for terrorist groups like the JNIM to sign up angry locals. If this operation turns into a long, grinding war that destroys the whole city while the militant leaders secretly escape, the victory will mean nothing. Now, let's get to the lesson. The lesson from Aleppo is very clear. Let's look at the lesson. The lesson from Aleppo is very clear, but the Sahel desert is not Syria. A purely military victory that leaves the city in ruins without any political plan for the local Tuareg communities will just start the exact same cycle of rebellion that Mali has suffered from since 2012. These major challenges do not mean the government should let the terrorists walk free, but it means the alliance of the Sahel state must be held to a much higher standard than just winning a single shootout. There is an old saying that the three remembers what the acts forget. Mali has been caught by these violent cycles too many times, and this time they want to end it permanently. But the most important work starts the morning after Kidal is retaken. The long-term survival of the region depends entirely on decisions made back in the capital city of Bamako. True lasting stability requires fair governance, job creation, and real effort to share resources with the northern communities that have felt left out for decades. The military has proven they can build the strength to defeat heavily funded insurgencies without needing a UN mandate or Western permission. Now, they must prove they can build a lasting peace that stops the next generation of youth from picking up a weapon in the first place. So, here's the question for the global observer community. If the alliance completely clears the militants out of Kidal, what should the government do next to keep the peace long-term? How can Bamako build a real bridge with the northern region so that regular cities or citizens feel included? This is a vital question for everyone who cares about the future of the region, including the engineers, the professionals, and the diaspora watching from all over the world. Drop your thoughts and ideas in the comment section below. We read through them to help build our next deep dive video, so do not pass that by. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next one.